Hey, hey, hey. Looks like it's getting a level now. It's kind of weird. I've had problems. My interface went out. I've had problems with getting my vlog to come out in stereo easily. It's a real simple design flaw. It's Wednesday, 3:29 a.m., September 12th. I did like 4 songs in the last couple of days. I don't really remember. Oh, I remixed Coldplay Clocks, the rock version, not the silly. I should not post demo or just bullshit versions like that, but that was cool. I did Shoot to Thrill AC/DC with guitar and keyboards, and the keyboard is so goofy, but it's so cool. I may actually use it. Did Heart of Gold a couple of days ago. Oh, I did John Lennon Imagine yesterday. I was gonna do a 9/11 thing, but it's just after what happened with some people I know, it's too soon still for me. Funk 49, Joe Walsh, and something else. Anyway, what else? Yeah, I did 3 or 4 songs, and I've sort of had to kind of stop paying much attention, just kind of giving cursory attention to email that comes in, because it's just really getting more and more and more, and that's cool and that's great, And the other thing is that I get caught up in stuff sometimes, and you can almost forget when you're a musician and an artist and a person like that after a while, like just how incredible it is to have people around the world commenting and really liking your stuff, and 24 hours a day. I mean, I just got up, there's I went through a stack, and it's been an incredible thing. I mean, it's a lot about how much people love these songs, and not really much to do with me, but how much they just really love these songs and really just want to hear anything kind of new takes on them. I used to hate cover tunes, and I was one of those people. I had to hear the album cut only. I didn't even like hearing the artist do it live differently. But now it's one of my favorite things on YouTube, and that's really because I think, and it is, that by looking at somebody do a cover tune, I can immediately see how I get an idea of how they have viewed this thing that I have loved my entire life, and what their take on it is. But also you can understand so much from that, but also their skill level you can understand and get a sense of who they are. It's just such a cool thing, cover tunes, and I'm doing these. I have thousands of originals, literally, but I'm doing these cover tunes to sort of, but hopefully by showing people, like, well, this is my take on it, and it's like, it's professional, and this is my sort of take on the arrangement and the artistic side of it, and I happen to be, a professional at the technical side, and the two come together really nicely. But I just love seeing people do cover tunes now, and I used to just despise that so much. Oh man, hot tea in the morning. But yeah, I mean, what a depth. It's changed me in so many ways. A couple things have happened, every day something just so emotional happens, where somebody says something and now people comment back and forth to each other on some of the songs, and all of them here and there, and just but somebody will send me a video that just is something I've been looking for forever and forgot about, or just all these little things that take place. Like I found that song Heart of Gold in the spur of the moment. I remembered I used to play that all the time, and I hadn't played it in many, many, many years. And somebody sent me something that had something to do with Heart of Gold, and I went to one site and I saw something. I clicked on Heart of Gold, it started playing, and I went to several sites and they all started playing at once, and that happens almost every day. I get my best ideas I can edit. When I was an editor, I could watch a movie while editing another movie, all on several different computer screens. I can even watch a movie and fast forward, and it's just from many, many, many years of sitting behind the old computer doing it. I can watch one movie and fast forward in double or even 8 times and laugh and cry at the appropriate points, and be editing another movie on another screen, all on the same computer, But yeah, doing stuff, that was just such a weird, cool gift. I got Heart of Gold, Neil Young playing, and then several people from around the world, and I thought, wouldn't it be something? And then my friend Raggy, who I say friend, I don't really know at all except on the computer, but I think most of us develop a keen sense at this, and I think I have a pretty keen sense at it, and that is kind of getting a real good sense of who he is and what he's about. And he had picked up a couple haters, which I have now. Every time I post something, there's 1 or 2 thumbs down on it in the first minute or two. So somebody has subscribed to hate. They subscribe to me just to hate on my stuff, and that's cool, because I if they're that sick, then God bless them, and but it annoys me, and I'll get to how I want to murder all haters later on. But my friend Raggy, I saw him, and I happened to be, while I was mixing, I pulled Kazantzakis' Last Temptation of Christ onto my window so I could kind of read as I was mixing something, and that's a fantastic set of writings, and also a movie that I like. And anyway, it's just about how we all have that struggle, and he happens to be a preacher. I'm not sure what denomination, but I saw him one day make a video, and he was such a cool, really a nice guy, and because of his vocation and everything, he like all of us, but especially in that vocation, you always want to be looking for that centered, well-adjusted approach, and look and come from a place of love in life. And I could see he was really, like I do a lot, struggling with a hater. And I had to laugh, because it just is really it comes and goes, that balance in life. And I've looked at him kind of. I watch his vlogs, keep him on like FM radio while I'm doing setups on HAL or other stuff, and just I like some vlogs because they're like FM radio, and it gives you the sense you actually know some people. But yeah, his vlog came up while that song was on, while people from around the world were on, and the man really does have a heart of gold. Yet he was struggling with this. How do I handle this thing and the eternal thing, always coming from a place of love, and then being a little rattled by people. And anyway, it reminded me of me a lot. And really, he's only like 14 or 15 years older than me, so it's the kind of thing where I can see in life in general, he's sort of finding a way to use his music as a useful and productive and fun thing in his in the era he's in. I just went myself. I've changed from. I always have trouble with that word there, that modifier, or you could even, not a conjunction, but I'm a little daffy. Whether I should say I've gone from or went to, but I left the era of being a young man into, I'm 49 years old now, going into sort of a later middle-aged guy, and especially in the last year. And it didn't hit me until this YouTube experience. Most of the people that watch the music I do are late 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, according to analytics, even 70s. And most of the emails I get when I analyze all of that, it's like from definitely late, like my age, within 5 years and on up. And before this, I thought I would appeal to, like, the hot, young, groovy people, but no. And I realize now, that was stupid. Of course, no. I'm 49 years old. But the cool thing about that is the songs that we like are really good, and I know them really by heart, and I can get at the soul of the songs, and the people really identify with that. And but yeah, I did Heart of Gold and did it for Raggy because he's trying to always come from love and have a heart of gold, and is a great guy. And he got rattled by haters the same as I do, and he was going through that struggle of, anyway, it just reminded me of me. We've had a lot of identical life experiences, and I can see that really clearly now. Yeah, there's a lot of weird things. My perception was radically altered about a year ago, and it has to do with a lot of things, but mixing now, it's like I can see so clearly things I could never see before. One is that it's so weird. Every part of an equalizer, I use phase, linear, graphic, EQs, and parametric, all kinds of them. But I can phase, accurate, linear, high HD, EQ, but as it runs along, each band, I can now clearly see, evokes a certain emotional response in somebody and in a person in general. And me, a lot of times when you're mixing, you shouldn't go into the music business unless you can hear the same song a couple thousand times in a few days, or a few weeks. And so yeah, I'll keep a song on. Imagine hearing any song over and over again, for days. But I've learned to sort of amp the emotion for that song in me up over the years, so that I still have an emotional response to it from the beginning of working on it on day one to the end of day 5 or 10 or 20 on one song all day long, 1,000 times a day, hundreds of times a day at least. And I've learned to sort of amp up my emotions to so it doesn't get flat and weak and beaten and haggard and sick of it. So yeah, I can listen to one song all day, every day, happily, and get into it every single time. See what I mean? I've learned to amp that up. But by doing that, I've also learned, like, especially lately, what the tiniest move in a mix means to a person emotionally. It's weird, but I've just recently realized on a big time level, like, what EQ means. Emotion is really in the bass and low mids, and you want extreme clarity, but it's, above all else, it should be listenable. That's the overall thought. So much of my early stuff was not listenable. And there's a thing called the Fletcher-Munson curve about how we perceive volume, which is extremely useful. Anyway, it's getting too technical, but basically you have to turn a bass guitar up many magnitudes of amplitude, or orders of amplitude. You have to turn a bass guitar up in real life, acoustic, not electronic signal, so that you perceive it as being equally as loud as a lead guitar. And that's because of a thing called the Fletcher-Munson curve, which says that our ears are very, between like 1K and 4K, are extremely sensitive to those frequencies. Like, imagine a school bell ring. That's like between 1 and 4, definitely. That's the other thing. I can tell you what frequency band any sound is in now automatically. But if you got a mix going on, you don't have to turn the school bell up very loud to be really painful, like guitar up. But you want that clarity. And anyway, the key is to, make it where you're aware of it, but it doesn't hurt. And because of this curve, it's interesting. Fletcher-Munson curve. If you have any interest in audio, it's a whole deal. It's a whole involved deal. Logarithmic, non-logarithmic, it just gets silly. But it's useful. But, yeah, I mean, there has been a profound change in me because of this YouTube thing. If anything, sort of, and I'm all alone, and I may talk in the last 5 years, I may talk to somebody once a month, if that. So you learn so much about yourself, and this is really about me not being in the army, but being all that I can be. And even when I think I've reached a point where it's like, wow, I'm better, I'm doing better, things are good, I've realized I can always get better and do, if I just keep doing the damn work. Because most days I'm in so much pain, I don't even want to get started. But, I was talking to, not even talking, on one of my vlogs, I said something about Elton John was, I said asshole and genius, the thing. I've been called like a genius, like, now every day, like, in total hundreds of times. And I'm like, well, no, I'm just pretty good at all this. But, the first thing is, it's hard to, or it's impossible to tell somebody you're a genius without automatically being an asshole by default. But another thing is, I was at A&M in the early 90s, and I worked at several, but 4 mainly producing artists and development artists. So I just happened to be sitting in producing in one room in Studio C, A&M, where, by the way, all the Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young stuff was recorded. So that was cool. So I knew their sound for sure, and always I could hear it in that room, But in A, Elton John was in there, and I was in there one day, second engineering for a friend of mine. And anyway, I'd gotten to know him a little bit, and I felt comfortable, and I didn't work at that time. I was producing independently as an independent contractor for the label. I wasn't like employed there by the hour, so really not much he could do to me. So I said, and we'd palled around. I know how to be appropriate, but he really got on to an assistant, and one of the assistants there, and just bit his head off. And he went in the booth and started singing, and played and sang, and he did something absolutely brilliant. At the end of it, I was like, you know what, I don't give a shit about any of this. I can forget this. And I pushed the talk back, and I go, sir, you are both genius and asshole. And he laughed like hell. He's an okay guy, but he lost his cool for a minute. Well, I said something like that on one of my vlogs. I wasn't claiming to be a genius. I was saying that, you know, if you claim to be a genius, you're by default an asshole. And Raggy said something like that I saw a vlog. I just flipped in and out the other day because I was real busy mixing, and I was like, oh man, no, I'm not saying I'm a genius. I'm saying, you know, it's genius and asshole probably go hand in hand. So I'm probably a little of both. Yeah, that eternal struggle, you know, with these haters. I mean, for a few seconds the other morning, I could have happily, and I'm not regretful about this, but it was interesting to have that level of emotion. Some kid posted, fuck you. I hadn't had one in weeks. Posted a fuck you. I get hardly any haters at this site. That's what's cool. He posted a fuck you on a song that really meant a lot to me and a lot of people around the world. And what else did he do? Oh, he gave it a thumbs down. He posted fuck you. And you know, my heart's fondest desire at that moment, and he was in the Netherlands and the whole thing, and it was obviously a video gaming child, gun nuts and video gamers, and I've been both in my life. I'm no longer either, but they always give you problems. They have sort of can have a distorted view on things, but unashamedly, I'll tell you, if I could have appeared in that person's room, I would have happily beat him to death, literally, and then played around with his blood, you know, and then, you know, defiled his corpse. And, you know, a guy like me, it's easy for me to go on the back channels, and even what's happening with Google or YouTube, and track somebody down, and I would never do that. But it's like, I didn't try to track him down, or I don't have the time. But yeah, I mean, that it was for a minute, and then I came to my senses. But yeah, sure. So I understood what he was saying in his vlog. It can be upsetting, but as I look at this, and the more that I come from a place of love in all of my affairs in life, and I can trace everything I do, from getting up in the morning to eating because I care about myself, to the way I email other people because I want to make sure that they feel cared for and are, to everything I do, I can trace to love, like the way I do the music and the mixes and the arrangements and productions. It's because I care about the songs and the people who will eventually listen to them, and my descendants. They're going to eventually look at this stuff. It's my legacy. And so whenever I get the fear, though, is the other part. You come from fear or love, and the fear comes from, for me, and I've done a lot of, like, 30 years of study on this thing now, is the fear section really comes from, what have I lost? Like when somebody posts fuck you or whatever on my stuff, when I ask myself, well, why does this hurt, and why I'm not coming from love, it must be fear. And there's always that deep set fear of, well, they say I'm terrible and blah blah, which hasn't really happened at all. Nobody's said anything, and nobody has ever posted fuck you, you suck. It's just fuck you, or, you know, you suck dicks or something, and that's only a few times. It's amazing. And that many people. But the fear is, oh yeah, well, they're right, even though there's 900 comments that, oh, I love this, it's insane, it's genius, it's crazy, it's great, it's wonderful, thank God I found your site, I just love these songs. But it's so easy for me to get just like a mix out of focus where the bass and the, is way too far up or the drums are way too far up. And by the way, the bass is the liaison between the drums and the rest of the mix. That's been a real key. The bass is like a go-between between the drums and the entire rest of the mix. It's actually a percussion instrument. But sometimes I get so far out of focus that I will, and a lot of it has to do with how I feel, and if I've eaten at all. I've been out of food for a few days completely too. A little fast doesn't hurt, but yeah, I get out of focus, and sometimes it just seems like, when those comments occasionally come in or a thumbs down and I want to murder somebody, I have to remember, well, this is a sick person. And so when I realize, well, since I want to murder this fucker, I'm not coming from love, then I must be coming from fear. And my fear is, well, they've discovered that I'm somehow not any good, even though hundreds of other people beg to differ. And the other thing is, it's highly likely, I have looked at some overall tracking and trends on this. It has nothing to do with me. Almost none of this has anything to do with me, really. It's everything to do with the other person. And, I've looked around. All of the thumbs down that I've gotten have come from people who didn't even watch. They didn't spend 10 seconds watching the video. They clicked on a link with the volume down or whatever, clicked on my video, gave it a thumbs down, and left. They didn't even watch the material. So they're hate thumbs, as I call them. And there are some legitimate thumbs down, Man, it's 3 in the morning and they keep rolling in. A lot of Australians, I guess it's the AC/DC. Well, I marketed the heck out of them. But, yeah, you know what? This has been one incredible experience. Karachi, Pakistan. I'll be dogged. How cool is that? Yeah, this whole thing, what a blessing and a gift. And I can't lose sight of that. And I can't pay too much attention to it. I have to keep in the thick of it and figure out, always be striving to get better. I've started paying, some attention to which final mix I choose, and just I can always get better. There's a piano on that song Heart of Gold that it works in a big way. It's kind of a clunky thing, and it kept getting lost in the reverb. And instead of taking 2 seconds to line it out, I had a bad attitude when mixing, and I was like, I am not going to bother setting up this entire bus, But I liked it clanky, but it sort of hurt me when I heard it. I was like, oh man, that should be... And the sustain, when like 10 things happened where I couldn't get piano sustain. So I said, you know what, clunky's kind of cool on that song, but overall I'd rather have it sustained. But it works cool, and people seem to like it, so that's cool. And it doesn't interfere with it. But yeah, what a gift this has been. I can't ever lose sight of that to have now thousands and thousands of people like what I'm doing and send me personal emails and tell me how much they like it. About a third of people who hit my site send me a personal email and comment and give me a thumbs up. So yeah, I mean, I can as far as all of that, I can only be me and do what I do. And I've sort of been here before in my early 20s, like having a little success, very little, at music, and having a lot of people want to pull me in 100 different directions. But it just goes back to the thing of I can only do what I do and do it the best I can. And I seem to be getting better every single time I do it, if I do it. And I know I've said that before, but most days I don't want to do it at all. I've been doing this so many years, and every part of it, from playing to producing to mixing to, and so And I used to make a lot of money doing it, and now I don't. So I don't make anything doing this yet, but I think it's going to pay off. Oh, I didn't state my intentions. I should do that. My intentions are to get 1 million hits on this site. And also, I'm making a documentary about my story and how I'm doing this and why I'm doing it and what it was like just before and the place that I'm doing it at. And oh, cool. Hi, you are amazing. I love the way you play guitar. Greetings from Pakistan. Running Boy 2000 or 20,000. Well, that's cool. But yeah, my intentions are to get 1 million hits on this site, become a successful, profitable YouTube musician, make a living at it with covers and originals, do this for the rest of my life. And also, I'm doing a documentary about my story, which I don't pan the camera around much here for a reason, because the circumstances and the conditions under which I'm doing this are ungodly. I mean, ungodly bad in a way. I mean, I'm happy. Don't get me wrong. I'm really, really happy. But compare and despair. Comparatively, these conditions are ungodly, and my condition has been and sometimes is ungodly bad, and health-wise. And I'm going to present a short film or documentary or both to the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences and submit it. And before you go, well, that's a highfalutin goal and everything. I designed the theater and the sound system and the acoustics at the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences on Wilshire, the Samuel Goldwyn Theater. One of the many things that I've been a part of. So, and I have an ex-girlfriend that's still doesn't really run the place, but works there. Is definitely a big part of it year round. So yeah, it's like I'm familiar with the business. I'm familiar with what it takes, and I'm familiar with the whole thing. So it's not like this crazy long shot. YouTube is to get me going, get me started, establish me. And I had hoped, although I'm long from it now, but in the first couple months, like 12,005 a month, growing on its own. And there's heavy duty marketing taking place. So anyway, yeah, I want to at least present my film to the Academy and submit it for an Academy Award type thing. And now that is a long shot. You never know, but it's good. It's nice. And when the true circumstances of me and everything I've been through to get to this point, and then doing this, and how I'm doing it, and where I'm doing it, and why I'm doing it, are revealed. It's a stunner. It's a grabber. I mean, I haven't revealed at all on YouTube and these vlogs at all the true circumstances of all of this, but it's a stunner. It's beyond anything most people could comprehend. It's plus the quality of the work is there, which is part of it. My work has been really better than it's ever been. So yeah, we'll see. I just want to meet those goals, and sometimes it helps me to state a goal. So if anybody made it this far, cool. Hang in there, because miracles happen every day. And yeah, 9/11, I lost some people, and it's still too fresh for me. Another year, but not now. So things are good overall. I can't think of when they've ever actually been bad. Things just are, I guess.